Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bleav in Iowa podcast. Brady is not here with us today. He is out sick, so hopefully he gets better soon. So it is just myself and former Iowa Hawkeye tight end Dominique Dafney. And Dom, we were here last week talking about the Oregon game, and we're back here again against another former Pac-12 school following another close Iowa loss. 4 losses on the season, playoff hopes all but done if they weren't already. It's just a sad way to feel like you're so close and yet you're not there yet. Just a really disheartening feeling.
Yeah. And that last piece that you just said was pretty much how I feel. Is we're right there, but there's something that's got to get us over that hump. Whether it's schemes, whether it's, just guys making plays. Like, I think this loss is more upsetting than last week's. And that's because we played 4 quarters of good football, and it was a couple of plays that really could have turned the game for us for this. I mean, in my opinion, we had the game, and then the second half started, and we forgot how to play football. I don't know what happened in the locker room or what we forgot, but you can't put up 0 points in a half. And I know there's a lot of people out there talking. I even had people commenting on our TikTok, be like, "Man, you guys got hosed by the refs. You guys got this." The refs didn't keep us from scoring any points. They weren't the ones throwing the ball, catching the ball, and not putting up any points. So, I mean, as much as we could say, yes, there were some missed calls. Yeah, there were. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we scored no points in the second half. It was 21-10. We lost 26-21. So it's like, yeah, I don't know what the remedy is, but there has to be something, done in order to stop losing these close games. I think we're 0 for 13 in the last 13 against ranked opponents. There has to be something done that we can do to remedy those, to figure out what it is that keeps holding us back, to figure it out what it is that when we play these ranked opponents that we just can't finish games. And that's really the thing, is finishing the games. Sometimes we start poor and we finish great and still lose. Sometimes we start great and finish poor and we still lose. We got to figure out a way to play 4 quarters of clean football against teams that are ranked in the future, because otherwise the college football playoffs will never see the Iowa Hawkeyes. So we got to figure out some way to get around that and find a way to beat the teams with numbers by their names.
And I love that you brought up the refereeing stuff, because if you scroll on social media for 30 seconds, if you search Iowa and USC on Twitter, there is droves of fans talking about, oh, this missed call, like the face masks on Kamari Moulton, or the depending on what angle you look at it, Caden Weetjen's catch at the end of the game. But like you said perfectly, the refs didn't stop you from scoring no points in the second half. It was 16-0 in the second half. I think post the last drive of the first half, I think they outscored Iowa 26-7 or something like that at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's all nice and well to go like you have a fail safe, like, oh, we would have won if the refs did this, but you have to take accountability for your own actions there. You're up 14-0. You get USC to go 3. Now, their first drive, you force them to turn the ball over on downs after they fail to convert on 4th. And Gronowski's feeling himself. You got the 3 touchdowns in 3 different ways. Like, everything was going as good as it really could have, given Iowa's history out west. And then as the game went on, it slowly got more and more nervy. And you're like, oh, are we seeing the same story again, where Iowa's playing well, but then they're almost there. They're almost there. They're not there yet. And it's like the pat on the back type thing is like, oh, you'll get them next time. It's a really annoying feeling, because I can't speak for everybody else, but this Iowa team, I think, is a lot better than 6-4, given what we've seen on what their talent is. But the end of the game, the 4th quarter, it's just, those are the times where it's starting to fall. And we've seen it before, but it just sucks, because this is the team that I really felt like going after the Indiana, even after the loss to Indiana, was like, okay, this team could cause some damage. It just sucks that, again, you're just on the wrong side of a nearly win for Iowa again.
Yeah. And I think the half of that is, there's so much, in my opinion, I think in a lot of people's opinion, there's a lot of talent on this team. Mm-hmm. It's just not either coming to fruition, or we're just not handling business when we need to. It's great to make plays when it's the first quarter, second quarter, when it's first down, second down, but when it's third or fourth quarter, when it's third down, like, that's the time you need to make plays. You know what I mean? So it's like, we could score all the points we want in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter even, but you got to play a full game of football. That's why we play the game. That's why we do all the things we do. We talk about all the things we do is because, I know Iowa football, and I know they talk about it 1,000 times of playing until there's 3 quarters on the clock. And that seems to be the most upsetting thing is we can't quite find a way to finish games and to find ourselves on top when there's 3 zeros on the clock. That's the issue. You know what I mean? And like you said, like as the game was going on, I'm thinking, oh, these boys are like, I think you even said in the group chat, like Iowa and Lemon started like really connecting. And I was like, oh, here we go. And they just started scoring and momentum kept going in their direction. And then we had that weird Madden 26 type interception where it bounced off one guy into another. I was just like, this is about to get ugly and not in Iowa's advantage. And that's exactly what happened. They started to make plays that we couldn't make. And they started their drives just seemed a lot easier than ours. They're gaining 10, 12 yards while we're fighting for 4 or 5. It just started the table started to turn real fast as soon as you said that. And I was just like, oh, we're about to lose this game because you could just feel it. Even in the crowd, like the momentum changed. They were out there with no shirts on, waving it in the rain. I know that's become a big trend these days, but it just felt like, this shouldn't have been a close game the way that we played in the first half, but the way that we just didn't show up in the second half was the reason why, that we lost. It was the reason why we lost. And it's unfortunate, it kind of puts a stamp on this season of just unfinished business. I think that's the best way to categorize this season. And like you said, we had talent. We have talent. We have a team that I also agree is at least 7-2 at this point, but we just weren't able to finish what we started, and that led us to have more losses than we probably should.
Yeah, this game kind of gave me not how it happened, but it kind of gave me the vibes of the Missouri Bowl game and the Music City Bowl, where Iowa was looking really good in the first half. Brendan Sullivan was making plays, and then the second half kicked in, and it just started to slowly drift away. And you're like, man, the momentum's completely shifted. When Iowa and Lemon, they were, I don't even know what you really want to call it, telepathic. Like it was just, if Iowa throws the ball, Lemon's going to come down with it. It doesn't matter if Nwampa's coming in to hit him in the side. Doesn't matter if Lutmer's hanging on the back of his jersey. He's going to come up with a catch, and Iowa's going to put it in a spot where only he can get it. And it was just one of those things where every single thing they're trying is working. It didn't matter what it was. Iowa was just in sync with Lemon, and even Jacoby Lane, the other wide receiver for USC, he was making some good plays for them. Their tight ends were effective as well. And then the interception, like you brought up, that wonky-ass interception. I don't even know what you really want to call that. When it happened, I was like, that didn't just happen. There's no way. I've only seen that in Madden 26, College Football 26. I've never actually seen. That's the one where you throw the controller and go like, I'm not playing this stupid game anymore. But it actually happened in the game, and it was like every single thing that could have gone right for USC went right for them, and every single thing that really could have gone wrong for Iowa went wrong for Iowa.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, that may be the reason why we keep, I guess, losing these games. Is you talk about the connection between Iowa and Lemon. I mean, when's the last time we had a quarterback like have a connection with somebody like that, where he went for what, 10 receptions, 153 yards and a touchdown? Being Iowa football, when is the last time somebody did that? It's been a long time. So I think that's also a reason, or something that we need to look forward to in the future, is finding that connection, finding the players that we can lean on when it's third and fourth quarter, when it's third and fourth down, where it's like, I don't really care what coverage, who they have on them. Like, that's who I'm throwing the ball to. And they're going to make a play 7 times out of 10 at least. I think that's something we've been missing for years now. It's someone that we could really lean on to make a play for us consistently. It was hard to see Vanderzee go down early, and, that was someone they were talking about that him and Gronowski had a good connection with. And we see a couple tight ends go down, and we have to have guys step up, and receivers weren't really making plays like we needed them to in the beginning of the season. And then towards the end of the season, or now, it's like, well, who's our go-to guy? When you really look at the stats, I mean, obviously there are some guys who have more stats than others, but it's not like you could stare at our games or stare at our stats or whatever throughout the season and be like, oh, that's the guy that they look for. That's the guy who they rely on. We just don't really have that. And we honestly haven't besides, that guy and Caleb Johnson.
Mhm.
But besides him, there really hasn't been many. There really hasn't been much. So it's like it's hard to win games when you don't even know who we have to lean on. It's a week by week basis of who we can lean on, who we can ask to make plays, who we know is going to show up in this game and really continue drives and score touchdowns and put points up on the board for you. So that might be something that we have to look forward or need to remedy in the future, need to fix in the future is we need to find guys. We need to find dogs. And whether that's in the transfer portal, whether that's, finding some guys who recruits who come in or whatever that may be, we need to find some dogs at the skill position. And that's running back, tight end, receiver, quarterback, who can consistently make plays for us, who could consistently put us in a position to win games and then win those games. It's great to be in the fight, but sometimes we need to win those fights. It's great to say that, we played close to Indiana and we played close to this team, that team, this team. We got to win these games. We got to figure out a way to get over this hump. So that may be something that we need to hone in on in this offseason of really being aggressive when it comes to being in the portal and when it comes to recruiting.
Yeah, I don't really want to turn into one of those like SEC teams where we're just talking about all the resumes that our losses are. Like, I mean, we lost all of these top 25 teams. Yeah. Man, if anybody else played our schedule, they would not be anywhere better than we are. So it always sucks to be on that end of things. And I love that you brought up the receivers and quarterback stuff because if you look at the Iowa, I was just looking up the stat line for Iowa receivers throughout the season. Only Caden Wheatgen has 20 catches. No one else has over 20 catches on the season. As you pointed out, Mekhi Lemon, 10 catches in this game alone. Like they had that go. Even Jacoby Lane had 7. Like Iowa, the next closest is 18. I think the one after that's 13. Like and most of Caden Wheatgen's catches are behind the line of scrimmage on bubble screens and short passes. Like they're not even crazy deep balls. And Gronowski had a good deep ball to Gill early on the first drive of the game. He had that touchdown pass to Reese Vanderzee against Minnesota. Those are really good ball. Like there's moments, but I can't look at Gronowski right now and really any of the other receivers apart from Wheatgen in the second in the special teams department and go like, I trust this to get us going. If we need you to make a play, you can go make the play. Like it's always fun to like, oh my God, Gronowski, the 3 touchdowns. Like he's a fun guy to root for. Like, oh, you could see that he's a leader. You could tell that the team rallies around him and everything, but he's not a quarterback that at this level is going to take you to the next step where you can trust his arm fully. Because there were a couple throws in this game, like crossing routes, where he's one-hopping them. And we've talked about that 1,000 times on the season, where even earlier in the year, we were talking about some of the screen passes he was having where he was one-hopping to them. And some of the drag routes that they had, the dig routes, the out routes, like they were just coming up short every single time. And it's just, like you look at the stat line, you go like, okay, that's not a terrible stat line. Like just look at the numbers. But if you watch some of the misses that he had, you're like, I need to see a little bit more. And we're not going to get that the rest of the season. He is what he is. At this point, he's not going to magically turn into Joe Burrow or Vince Young or something like that and become the superstar quarterback at this level. But next year, whether it's Heklinski, Brown, the freshman that's coming in from Utah, some of the receivers, whoever they come in, whoever they bring in, Iowa needs to take that next step to the 21st century. Like we talked about that during last season. And the pass game is better than it was last season, but it's not really going up from anything. You can only go down so far, so now you got to work your way back up. But watching Maava, Lemon, Lane in this game, seeing that communication and the chemistry that they have, and Iowa just doesn't have that, where USC could look at Maava and go, I know you're going to make this throw. I have faith in you that you're going to make this throw, and he did. And we just don't have that in Gronowski. As great as a runner as he is, as great as a character he is, a good leader and all that, he's just not that prototypical quarterback you're looking for to make those kind of throws when you need him to.
Yeah. And, we did a good job this year of utilizing his talents and kind of putting makeup over the blemishes, whether it's with receiver screens or a lot of play action or getting him to roll out and getting him to be able to use his feet. We were able to utilize him in ways that got us into close games, realizing that, yes, he's not, like you said, Joe Burrow. He's not going to throw the ball 40, 45 times a game and put up 396 yards receiving or something crazy like that, or passing or something crazy like that. But, we're going to get him in his pocket where he can move and where he could every once in a while, put the ball in the air and, be able to use his feet when he needs to. So we did a good job of utilizing his skills and his talents and his knowledge. But like you said, it's especially in this day and age where there are teams who have 2 or 3 quarterbacks who can really throw the ball like that, who have, the Mayava lemon connection, who have, all the bells and whistles. It's damn near impossible to compete with those type of players or those type of schemes or those type of systems or whatever, especially when you're essentially needing to play a error-free game of football. The room for error is really small when you don't have, everything that you possibly could, or you don't have the talents that other people have, or the 5 stars that other people have, or you could say whatever. But, that's where I say we need to be more aggressive, is trying to find some of those guys, whether it's the Cam Wards of the world where they travel to 3, 4, 5 schools, but you see something in them that really could turn the program around, or you see a recruit who you might not normally go after. It's just, let's take a chance at a guy who could really come in and make plays for us and be a consistent contributor to our offense or to our defense. It's going to be a lot of change when we see the Iowa Hawkeyes next year. There's going to be a lot of different bodies on this team. We got a lot of seniors. We got a lot of guys who won't be here next year. We got a lot of guys who will hopefully be playing on Sunday next year. So we're going to have to find guys who come in with a little bit of, intelligence about themselves, who know how to play football, but who also has shown that they can make plays. So that's going to be, I think, the grocery list of our recruiting this year. Find us a great quarterback, some solid, great receivers and tight ends, and then, of course, fill in the holes on defense. That's where we need to – I think that's the recipe that we need to have in order to come back next year and fight against these teams who honestly we should have beat, and who we could actually finally put our foot on their necks and climb to that next pinnacle that we're reaching for, that we're so stuck. We're stuck right now. Mm-hmm. We're since 2015, 2016, we're stuck. We've been hitting our heads against the wall, trying to find a way to get to that next tier of college football teams. And I think we're right there. I think we just need a couple more weapons, a couple more athletes to get us over that hump and finally put us in the conversation with the best teams in the country.
Yeah, and it's frustrating but encouraging at the same time, where you could see things there. And next year, like you said, going to next season, carry that momentum, get the quarterback, get the receivers, get the playmakers that you need to, again, like you said perfectly, compete with teams that realistically you could have beaten this year. Like, if we're looking at Iowa's schedule so far, you lost by 5 to USC, you lost by 3 to Iowa State, 5 to Indiana, and 2 against Oregon. Like, it's right there. But now it's just about breaking through, like that 2016 team did, like the teams in the past did, like when you were at Iowa and going to have Ohio State come to Kinnick. We've talked about the belt-to-ass game in that one there. Like, this needing to break through those types of games and hopefully come out on top next year. And I don't know what the answer is for the quarterback spot, if they're going to keep the guys they have now, go in the portal, but they just got to get somebody that you can fully trust in the pass game. But I guess I should say, or ask you, like, what would you, if you were to grade Gronowski's season up to this point, what would you give him out of score out of 10?
Out of 10, I would probably give like probably like a 6.7. Like, there were times where he really showed that he could play at this level, and where he could be utilized as a quarterback, and use his arm and use his leg, and they were using him in good positions where we really showed why we got him. A guy that you could put the game on his back, whether it's with his arm or with his legs, and we could really give him the keys and be like, yo, lead us to victory. Show us what you could do, show us why you were so good at South Dakota State, show us what you have in your Batman belt, essentially. Show us why you're that guy. And then there were times where we were just like, what? It's just like, huh? What is this? So it's just, there were a lot more downs than ups. I feel like there were a lot more times I feel like we came back and we were questioning, like you said, a lot of the throws where we felt like it was pretty easy, and he didn't make it, or there were throws that hopped to the receivers, or I feel like we had more of that than we had. Man, that throw was crazy. Like, I don't know where that came from. So I would say 6.7 for sure, because he did keep us in games, and he definitely led us as a team, led us as an offense, and put us in position to win games. It was just we just weren't able to do it. And that leaves a sour taste in your mouth. It leaves kind of a bittersweet feeling of like, yeah, you're a great player. You play the game of football really well. But I mean, it's kind of a participation trophy. If just to say you're a good football player and we didn't win the games we were supposed to, or we wanted to, or we should have. It's hard to have that feeling. So I think that's what I would give him, a solid 6.7.
I agree. I agree with everything you just said there in regards to Mark Gronowski. It's there. Like you can tell he's a good football player, but he can play, but it's just needs something else there as well in the pass game. And I think just to end it here, Iowa's got Michigan State next week, loser next 7. We'll talk about that game in a little bit. But I was just thinking, Iowa and Minnesota have the same record. I don't like that. I don't. Given what we've seen from both teams this year, I really that's a sour pill to swallow. But hopefully they're able to rectify it against Michigan State. Again, we'll have a preview coming out for that here soon. Dom, want to plug, or I guess we should just. What do you have anything to say about wrapping up this game and then plugging our socials as well?
Wrapping up this game, I would just say it's a unfortunate, sick feeling. Like, I honestly, I turned the game off before the game was even over. I knew the game was in their hands, so it was a tough loss, and it kind of hurt more than the Oregon game, probably because this really puts a bullet in our season, and it's really like, all right, you're really done. And it'll be a solid bowl game. Hopefully we win these next 2, and maybe they can come to Nashville and I could watch the boys play or something. I don't know, but it kind of just it sucks when there's 2 weeks left of your season and your season's over. That it's hard to get up and get excited about it. Obviously, we're still gonna watch Iowa football. Like, Iowa football is Iowa football. I'm gonna watch it till the end of time. So it's not like I won't be supporting or anything. It just sucks that we had so much right in front of us and we just weren't able to capitalize on the situation. So that's kind of the feeling I think a lot of us are leaving with. And like I said, if you want to put a title on the season, it's unfinished business, because that's pretty much how I feel. So definitely unfortunate, but I truly believe in the direction that the Iowa football program is going, is there will be brighter days. I think we showed a lot of good things offensively and defensively, a lot of newness that I appreciated. Iowa offense has always been called, the 65 Chevy. We're classic. We do a lot of things that are classic and old time, and sometimes they work for us, and sometimes it's nice to get that new Ferrari. So I'm excited about where this program could go. I hope we take advantage of the portal and of the opportunity to bring in better guys, bring in higher whatever guys. I don't always believe in the stars and stuff, because obviously I never had a scholarship but played 6 years in the NFL. So I mean, what do stars really matter? So let's bring in guys who we know who we really think can make plays for us. That's really what I want to see in the future. So hopefully we can get that. And, check us out at, what do we got? TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all at Bleav in Iowa, BLEAV.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said. And like you said at the end there, Iowa might not be getting all the 5 stars out there. We get some hardworking individuals. Mm-hmm. And like you said, 6 years in the NFL, no stars. That's the Iowa way right there.
Get you a couple guys from Sheridan, Iowa, who have big overalls, who shuck hay or something at O-line and D-line, and then get you some guys down from where I'm at. Find you some athletes from where I'm at down in the South, and I think we could really turn this program around.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Exciting things to come. But for us today on this episode of Bleav in Iowa, again, we'll have the Michigan State preview coming out for you soon. I'm Logan Blackman. He's been former Iowa Hawkeye tight end Dominique Dafney, and we will see you guys later.